What is up, everybody? RandomRandomMan here, bringing you not a movie review, but a special kind of video that I have done every year for the past 2 years, and it is a video of me predicting and giving my preferences to the Oscars. And for this year, the 88th Academy Awards, I am definitely doing the same. Now, last month, I have already reacted live to the Oscar nominations from this year as they were being announced, which I will leave a link for in the video description if you're interested to know what I thought of the nominations upon gut reactions. But now I have had time to look over and think about what I've thought of the nominees, and I would like to give my opinion and what I think should win and will win. Now, quick disclaimer, I'm going to only be covering 12 of the 24 categories for this year's Academy Awards. In the years past, I have covered more categories, but I decided to limit myself to only covering topics that I really want to give my 2 cents on. It, of course, includes some of the major categories, but some categories within the technical ones, I do want to give a little bit of insight towards, along with some of the juggernauts. So, without further ado, let's get started. Now that I have the full list of nominees pulled up right in front of me, the first category I'm going to be covering is Best Animated Feature Film. Just going to get this right out of the way. This is a pretty fast one right here. Inside Out should and will win the Oscar. I don't have to say any more, but I know that's going to happen. We got that? All right. Next is Best Cinematography. Now, this is another category that I think is easy to predict. Emmanuel Lubezki for The Revenant should and will win the Oscar. This will be his 3rd year in a row that he has won in this category after Gravity and Birdman, also great movies that have gorgeous cinematography. And Lubezki, he does have some stiff competition this year. John Seale for Mad Max Fury Road and Roger Deakins for Sicario. But Lubezki, what he does whenever he picks up a camera, or more like positions it to get a great shot, he does superbly. The movie, The Revenant, was shot mostly with natural light. Some shots I can't even believe, nor do I even know how they were accomplished without Lubezki's vision. And that's why I think that this category will be taken by him once again. So, Emmanuel Lubezki for The Revenant should and will win the Oscar. Next up is Best Film Editing. Now, I've never covered this category in years past, and I want to cover this category this year because it interests me. First off, I've seen all 5 of these nominees. I've seen The Big Short, Mad Max Fury Road, The Revenant, Spotlight, and Star Wars The Force Awakens. All very well edited movies, but I think it comes down between 2 nominees, The Big Short and Mad Max Fury Road. I think The Big Short will end up winning this trophy because it takes a certain movie to have a subject matter like the housing market crash of the late 2000s to have been easily boring throughout, but it was not. Not only was it helped out by a great script, but because of the energy that the movie displays in between with all the transitions and all the scenes that are cut together. I wasn't a big fan of the cinematography in The Big Short, but the editing in between made it all worthwhile. I would like Mad Max Fury Road to win this category, though. It should win, in my opinion, because this movie was, fun fact, edited in post-production 3 years after the movie was done shooting. It came out 3 years after it finished filming in 2012, and it must have taken a steady eye and hand to be able to know what should be left on screen and what should be left on the cutting room floor for an action movie, as kinetic energy is almost necessary in an action movie like Mad Max Fury Road. It's definitely nice to have it in The Big Short, but in Mad Max Fury Road, it kept going and it never stopped for about 2 hours. Fun fact also, this movie was edited by Margaret Sixel, who is the director's wife. That's right, George Miller's wife edited Mad Max Fury Road. Personally, I just think that's awesome, and she just did a phenomenal job with this movie. So, Mad Max Fury Road should win the Oscar, but The Big Short will win the Oscar. Next is the last technical category I'll cover, and it is Best Visual Effects. Now, like Best Film Editing, I've seen all the nominees in this category as well. Ex Machina, Mad Max Fury Road, The Martian, The Revenant, and Star Wars The Force Awakens. And like Best Film Editing, all of the movies in this category are very well done with what they have to do with their technical merits. Who I think it comes down between though? Well, this one is actually pretty tough. All of them have stunning visual effects, and they use each of them in their own different and great way possible. But I think Star Wars The Force Awakens actually will win this Oscar. I think this is the biggest chance it will get to get Oscar glory, because I'm looking at the past and seeing how every film in the original Star Wars trilogy has won this very award. I think The Force Awakens will follow suit. And plus, this must have been mainly used with CGI and practical effects as well. And it must have taken pretty intricate people to know what to do and what not to do with computers, and just leave everything with great production design as well. I think that really is one of the best attributes that Star Wars The Force Awakens does have. I think should win? Of course, Mad Max Fury Road. I absolutely loved what this movie did. Similarly to Star Wars The Force Awakens, a lot of practical effects were blended with CGI to make it look real and just all the more gorgeously appealing to the eye. About 80% of the movie was built on practical effects, and a lot of it in After Effects was used with CGI. I just think it was so brilliant to see what it was done for an action movie to not only look this good, but also feel real. And that's what visual effects should do whenever they're used on screen. So, Mad Max Fury Road should win the Oscar, but Star Wars The Force Awakens will win the Oscar. Up next is a big category. Best Supporting Actor. Now, before I get into it, I just want to point out a few snubs that I didn't initially catch on during my live reactions to this year's nominations. Idris Elba, I've seen Beasts of No Nation ever since the nominations have come out, and I didn't review it because I saw it so late, even though it's on Netflix. I could have watched it anytime I wanted. But that's an outstanding movie. There are definitely a lot of things I really like about it. I thought it meandered a little bit towards the end, but I still would definitely recommend it. But Idris Elba gave such an evil performance in that movie. He won the SAG Award for his very performance, and if he was nominated for an Oscar, he would have solidified his win, but sadly he wasn't nominated. Also, Jacob Tremblay for Room. I don't know if he would have been nominated in Best Supporting Actor or Best Lead Actor if he had gotten nominated, but he was just completely snubbed altogether. Room, I believe, was his whole movie through and through, even though he was sharing a lot of the screen time with Brie Larson, but wow. Ugh. Him and Abraham Adda were just the best child performances I saw from last year. Abraham Adda being the lead character in Beasts of No Nation. He was also simply fantastic in the movie with Idris Elba. But anyway, mini rant over. Let's cover what actually did get nominated, or who actually got nominated. For Best Supporting Actor, I believe that the supporting categories in the acting fields this year are open races, but of course there is an easy favorite here, Sylvester Stallone for Creed. Now, I believe he should and will win. Should because, well, simply put, I think his performance is just so emotionally heart-wrenching, and all the more captivating to see this character be the most grown he has ever been throughout. Not just because he's way older, 40 years older from the first time he's portrayed his character, but because he is complete. He has gone through a very long story arc, and we see all that culminate here. And I just love Sylvester Stallone. He is long overdue for being awarded a trophy for this role, and I feel that the Academy will say, it's your turn, Stallone. This is your Oscar for portraying this iconic character. I also think he will win. The competition in this category, I think, is not too stiff. I mean, I really was surprised Tom Hardy got nominated for The Revenant. He was superb in that film. Mark Ruffalo also did a very good job in Spotlight, especially with one very nice scene in particular. And Christian Bale, I thought he was fine in The Big Short. Not one of his best performances. I didn't think he deserved the nomination. In fact, I wanted Steve Carell, of all people, from The Big Short to get nominated because it proves that this comedic actor can still do drama. As Christian Bale, not taking anything away from his performance, I felt he was just doing similar stuff that he's done before, playing himself, like a quirky type of role, but not as stellar as his Oscar-winning role in The Fighter. So, Sylvester Stallone should win the Oscar, and he will win the Oscar. Next is another big category, Best Supporting Actress. Now, in comparison to Best Supporting Actor, this category is way more wide open. I think a snub here, in my opinion, was Alicia Vikander for Ex Machina, even though she did end up getting nominated for the Danish Girl. But personally, that was my favorite female performance of the year, aside from my favorite in the Best Actress category. But she still ended up getting nominated. But I've only seen one of these performances in the category. Rachel McAdams for Spotlight. She was stunning. She has grown so much from what I've seen her do in early comedy, and now she's doing way more drama, and she nailed her role. I think who should win, though, is Alicia Vikander for The Danish Girl. I'm mainly harping on that because I wanted her to get nominated for Ex Machina, but I did hear that she did steal a lot of the movie from Eddie Redmayne. And Vikander's performance, like Rooney Mara's performance in Carol, while I did hear great things about him, it's obvious that it's category fraud being at display here because they had prominent screen time with the lead actors in their respective movies. The Danish Girl and Carol having very pushed, the studios having pushed for these two performances to be put in the supporting actress category to solidify a possible win. And I think that's what will happen for Alicia Vikander. Stiff competition from Rooney Mara for sure. She may end up taking it, but Alicia Vikander, she has a SAG award on her side. She has a Critics' Choice Award. But a possible spoiler that could be in this category is Kate Winslet for her portrayal of Joanna Hoffman in Steve Jobs. Haven't seen that movie, but she did win a Golden Globe and a BAFTA, but those don't always solidify Oscar glory, plus she's won before, so I think Alicia Vikander will end up winning and should end up winning the Oscar, although I think Rooney Mara does have some way of trying to steal it from her, but I'm not really sure in my opinion, so I'm just going to say this. Alicia Vikander should win the Oscar and will win the Oscar. Up next is Best Adapted Screenplay. I think The Big Short will win here. It's probably the biggest thing I think it has a possible chance of winning because of how well written it was and how it appeals to basically the Academy loving history, even if it was most recently happening during this time period. I think it does have stiff competition against The Martian and Room, the only two other movies in this category that I've seen from, because they've also had good writing. Room, Emma Donoghue adapted her own novel, which I haven't read. In fact, I haven't read any of these novels that the nominees are based off of, but found it to be really engaging. The Martian, I think that's my personal pick to win, that should win, because I heard it's pretty scientifically accurate. In my review for The Martian, I didn't know for sure, but I've since researched a lot more things having to do with what happened in that movie, and apparently they were pretty legit. The author, Andy Weir, did do his research, so that's my personal pick to win. But I do think The Big Short has a lot of promise to win this category, and that's my predicted winner. So, The Martian should win the Oscar, but The Big Short will win the Oscar. Up next is Best Original Screenplay. Now, I feel that Ex Machina should win the Oscar. I fell absolutely in love with the script that Alex Garland, who also directed the movie, just wrote up in being very intelligent science fiction about AI. But what I think will win is Spotlight. The story is very engaging, and similarly to The Big Short, it's about a true story, and it's just written so well that it keeps you engaged and wanting to know what happens next, even though it is based on a true story, but you're watching it as it is being told in a film. The other nominees, such as Inside Out, which is quite uncommon to see animated movies get nominated for anything else other than their own respective categories, but it's nice to see that its excellent writing was given an honor of a nomination, and Straight Outta Compton did end up getting nominated. Now, what I was oblivious to in my live reactions to the Oscar nominations from this year was that Straight Outta Compton only did get this sole nomination. I feel that along with the diversity issue that plagued this year's nominations and last year's nominations, it should have got nominated for a lot more things, including acting and even a Best Picture nod. That was snubbed out right there, but can't really harp on that too much. Everyone's already been talking about that already, but I'll just say this, that Ex Machina should win the Oscar, and Spotlight will win the Oscar. Next, Best Director. Now, I think this comes down between two nominees. George Miller for Mad Max Fury Road and Alejandro Gonzalez Iñárritu for The Revenant. Iñárritu has already won this category last year for Birdman, as well as Best Original Screenplay and Best Picture. So, in one way, that's holding me back from saying that I think that he is deserving of this, although he did such a masterful job directing The Revenant that I do think he will win, not only for pure opinion's sake, but because he has a lot of things on his side in getting the trophy once again. He won the Golden Globe and the BAFTA, but like I said with a past category, that doesn't always predict winning Oscar glory, but he did win a DGA award, and that is an excellent predictor for predicting the Best Director Oscar winner. I do think George Miller should win this one. He's already been awarded Oscar glory in the past, just like Iñárritu, but for Best Animated Feature for Happy Feet, I mean, the same guy who directed Dancing Penguins in an animation did crazy car stunts and explosions everywhere in Fury Road. Just what he did in vigorously bringing the franchise he once created from the 1970s back to life in the mid-2010s is just an excellent feat. He directed his actors incredibly well. What he had done on screen is just a wonder to watch. And just like The Revenant, this shows what the movies can do and how beautiful they can be, even if they are about different things and are just oddballs in their own ways, because these two directors don't necessarily play by all the same rules. But Iñárritu, in my mind, will win again. So, George Miller should win the Oscar, yet Alejandro Gonzalez Iñárritu will win the Oscar. Next, Best Actress. Hands down, nobody else is going to win this category except for Brie Larson for Room. She was my absolute favorite female performance in any movie of 2015. And oh man, I am incredibly glad she's getting all of this recognition. She stunned me in many movies in the past, like Short Term 12, which, by the way, a couple of years ago, she was not snubbed, but robbed of an Oscar nomination for that movie. But I'm glad she's getting recognition here, as I feel that Room was a harder role to play, even though it had similar characteristics between both of the characters. But, oh man, Brie Larson should and will win this thing. She has been sweeping all the Best Actress wins across many guilds and award circuits everywhere, and I think the Oscar will be the ultimate culmination here. I was surprised, like I said in my live reactions video, that Jennifer Lawrence did end up getting a nomination for Joy, and outstanding performance there. She was easily the best part of Joy. But she's already won before, and Brie Larson is just dynamite right now. So, Brie Larson should and will win the Oscar. Next, Best Actor. I do think this is Leonardo DiCaprio's year. He should and he will win the Oscar. For all the things that he's done in The Revenant, this proved to me that he genuinely deserves the trophy this time around. In the years past, even though I've enjoyed some of his past performances that he's been nominated for, I don't think that he deserved any of them, in my opinion. I know I'm going to get pretty hit with a lot of fire for that, but I think for what he did in The Revenant, this showed that he did something completely different in actually getting a win here. I also think he's going to get a win for not his best performance, although he was definitely phenomenal in The Revenant, but because that the Academy is finally going to award him for being just one of the most versatile and absolute best actors in the industry today. I did enjoy some of the other nominees. Actually, only one other nominee. Matt Damon for The Martian is nominated. I haven't seen the other nominations in this category, but Damon did win the Golden Globe for Best Actor, Comedy, or Musical. By the way, how the hell is The Martian a comedy? But that doesn't guarantee him Oscar glory. I think DiCaprio will win this year, and he should win. So, once again, Leonardo DiCaprio should and will win the Oscar. And last, but certainly not least, Best Picture. This is honestly, after even a lot of thinking before I've even shot this video, the hardest category for me to predict, because this year is so wide open. Even with 8 nominees once again, it is still difficult for me to even predict what will take home this trophy. I obviously know what I think should win in my eyes. but I think Mad Max Fury Road should win the Oscar. But not many people agree with me on that. It's definitely a dark horse among the nominees that have a genuine chance of getting there, as I think it comes down between 4 Best Picture nominees, about half of them. I think it comes down between The Big Short, Mad Max Fury Road, The Revenant, and Spotlight for what will win. But why do I think Mad Max Fury Road should win? Well, it was my favorite movie of 2015, and like last year, my 3 favorite movies of 2015 were nominated for Best Picture. Those being Room, The Revenant, and Mad Max Fury Road. Last year, my favorite movies of 2014, Whiplash, Birdman, and Boyhood, did all end up getting nominated, and Birdman actually ended up taking home the trophy, which I wasn't displeased by. I was genuinely happy for that film. But for what will win this year at the 2016 Academy Awards, wow. I'll say this and how I will break it down to the best of my ability for Best Picture. Now, for The Big Short, it has won a PGA award, which, to the movie's credit for winning that award, it does have a big chance to win Best Picture. Because in the years past, the films that have won the PGA for Best Picture have went on to win Oscar Gold with the biggest category of the night. However, other categories... other movies in this category do have chances that other films don't have. The Revenant, it has won 2 Best Picture awards recently, Best Picture Drama at the Golden Globes and Best Film at the BAFTAs. But last year, Boyhood did end up winning in those categories too, and it did not end up winning Best Picture. So that's one reason I'm thinking that The Revenant is a frontrunner one way with its 12 nominations, including Best Picture. But in another way, will it go down like last year? That is up to decide for further interpretation. Mad Max Fury Road, I already given my shtick and why I think it should win, but I don't think it will win, even though it does have 10 nominations, the second most behind The Revenant, and that does give it a fighting chance, but I think for other categories and not necessarily Best Picture. And now Spotlight. This is actually what I think will win Best Picture. On paper, it does have all the attributes in what makes a Best Picture movie a Best Picture movie. I did love the movie. I really was invested by it throughout. In fact, I was invested by every single Best Picture nominee that I've seen. I've only seen 6 of them. I've only seen The Big Short, Mad Max Fury Road, The Martian, The Revenant, Room, and Spotlight. The Big Short being my least favorite, while still being a very good film. And Mad Max Fury Road, The Revenant, and Room being the only movies from 2015 I gave perfect scores. Although I have given Room a perfect score, I don't think it has a big chance of winning Best Picture. Mad Max Fury Road and The Revenant have more of a chance. But going back to Spotlight, as I've done in some research stance, I have seen has won the most Best Picture awards across different guilds and critic circles, and that's why I'm pushing a little bit more for me thinking that it will win. However, right behind Spotlight in the number of wins for Best Picture is Mad Max Fury Road, which is another reason that's convincing me that it might win, even though I think it should win, but I don't know. Ooh, this is very tough for me to decide because, wow. It's so wide open this year that any movie that I've just stated between The Big Short, Mad Max Fury Road, The Revenant, and Spotlight could end up winning Oscar night. But I will say this. I think the predicted winner will be Spotlight. I may be wrong, but I'm usually wrong on these things anyway. I just love expressing my opinion on what I've thought of the Oscar nominations every year for the past 2 years, and I'm going to continue on eventually, even if I continue to be wrong. So, like last year, I'm going to cheat again by saying what should win the Oscar. Even though I think Mad Max Fury Road, between my favorite movies of 2015, has the biggest chance, I'm going to cheat again and say that Mad Max Fury Road, The Revenant, and Room should win the Oscar. Again, that's ridiculous, but of course that's my opinion. But Spotlight will win the Oscar. Whew. And there we go. Thank you all, as always, for watching. Be sure to like this video, comment on what you thought of this year's Oscar nominees, give out your predictions and preferences for this year, and also even say if you're going to watch the ceremony this year. I know I will be watching the Oscars next Sunday, but will you? Subscribe to my channel for more, and I'll catch you on the next movie review.